Adverbs, definition, classification, functions, and positions. English morphosyntax. Teacher Brenda Ruiz Morales. Student David Peralta Ortiz. Okay, good evening, classmates and teacher. This is my presentation about adverbs. So let's start. What is an adverb? Let's start by the definition. Adverbs are words belonging to one of the 8 parts of a speech that can modify verbs, adjectives, and even other adverbs. Some examples of these adverbs, these modifying words, are slowly in the sentence, try to speak slowly. Here. Your job is barely legal. Here, barely is the adverb. Barely is modifying this word. And finally, Michael eats very quickly. This is the adverb and it's modifying this word. What is an adverbial? Adverbials, on the other hand, are words or phrases that modify a verb or a clause. They do not belong to a part of a speech, but they only add more information to the questions how, when, where, and why. Some examples of adverbials can be: put your gun on the floor. In this case, is a whole sentence, is a clause, in fact. I was awake all night. Here, this is the adverbial. And Melissa is shouting as if she were crazy. Here we have the other adverbial. These 3 adverbials are adding more information in relation to the sentence or the phrase that is before them. What are the classifications? How can we classify adverbs? Adverbs can be classified in 7 different classes, although some different sources vary in this statement. Adverbs of emphasis and degree is the first classification. As the name implies, they emphasize a word or a sentence by adding force to it. Their position is usually, this is important to remark, is just usually before the word or the sentence they modify. For example, in this case, they were angry. Simply, here is the adverb, because of my presence. Because of my presence is the sentence that simply is modifying. My car is obviously broken. In this case, obviously is the adverb and it's emphasizing the adjective broken. Jessica is absolutely mad. In this case, absolutely is the adverb and it's modifying the adjective mad. Naturally, they had to leave the hotel. In this case, naturally is the adverb and it's emphasizing and also giving a kind of an opinion related to the sentence, they had to leave the hotel. The next classification is adverbs of manner. Adverbs of manner tell us how something is being done. They can be collocated in any position. However, they are usually found after the main verb and at the end of a clause. If they are found at the beginning of the sentence, they have an emphasizing function. Some examples are: they live happily forever. In this case, happily is our adverb and it's emphasizing it's referring to the manner they live. My father yelled at me angrily. In this case, angrily is the adverb, is the adverb of manner and is referring to the way the father yelled. Students are expected to read carefully. In this case, the adverb is carefully and is referring to how the students were expected to read. And finally, cut the cake softly. Softly is the adverb and is referring to the way the cake is supposed to be cut. Then we have adverbs of time. They provide information about when an action is, was, or will be done. They can be placed at the beginning to emphasize as well as adverbs of manner, or at the end of a sentence. This is the position of the adverb. Some examples of adverbs of time are: he invited me to the cinema yesterday. This is the adverb, and it has relation with the action invited. If we ask when did he invited you, we can answer yesterday. Last week I had a terrible accident. As we said before, our adverb is last week, and it's in the at the beginning, sorry, of the sentence, so it's emphasizing the time. Last week I had a terrible accident. My dog died 2 years ago. Here we have the adverb of time, 2 years ago. And finally we have the example, today I won the lottery. Here again we are emphasizing because it's at the beginning of the sentence. Then we have adverbs of place. They add information about where an action has been performed. Their position is usually at the end of a sentence, and after the verb they modify. For example, my pencil was here. If we ask where was your pencil, we can answer with the adverb here. Let's go outside. Another adverb referring to the place they want to go. The house will fall down. Fall is the verb that down is modifying. If we ask where is the house will fall, we can answer down. And finally, our room is upstairs. Where is the room located? Upstairs. This adverb is modifying or defining this verb. This verb to be, this auxiliary is. Adverbs of frequency. As the name says, these adverbs tell us how often an action happens. They are usually placed before the main verb but after auxiliary verbs. For example, is she always behaving so bad? Here is our main verb and here is our auxiliary verb. So, following the rules, here is our adverb. And if we asked the frequency, that person is behaving bad, always, sorry. You never listen to me. Again, here we have never, that is the frequency adverb, and in this case we don't have any visible, any tangible auxiliary verb, but we have here the main verb, listen. So therefore our adverb is before the main verb. Jordan will rarely say a bad word. Here is another frequency adverb. Here we have our auxiliary verb, and here we have our main verb, say. My grandmother frequently watered the plants. This is the adverb, the frequency adverb. In this case, again, we don't have any visible auxiliary verb, but here we have our main verb. Sentence adverbs. They help us to express a position and how we feel towards a statement. They may have three different positions: at the beginning of a sentence, at the end of a sentence, or before the main verb and after the auxiliary verb. Some examples are frankly. This is the adverb and is referring to an opinion that I may have regarding this sentence. I didn't trust what you said. This chocolate cake is delicious, honestly. Again, this is the sentence that it's being modified by the adverb honestly, that is referring to an opinion that I may have. You have clearly stated what you desire. In this case, the sentence adverb is referring to this part, and this part is located in the middle of the sentence, and again is an opinion. Obviously, this is not my car. Again, I am emphasizing an opinion that I may have to make it sound more strong, maybe stronger. Sorry, maybe. Connecting adverbs. They are used to join ideas, phrases, or clauses. They are collocated in the middle of the two elements it is intended to connect. It is usually separated by commas, semicolons, and periods. Examples are: my mom doesn't like TV. Period. Instead, here we have the adverb. She loves the radio. She loves radio. Here instead is working as a connection between the sentence my mom doesn't like TV and the other sentence she loves radio. The dog ran across the street, semicolon, then it went back to the house. Again, here we have the connecting adverb, and it's making a relation of time between the dog ran across the street and it went back to the house. I like candies, comma. However, here is the connecting adverb that is contrasting both ideas. The first idea, I like candies, and the other one, I can eat them. And finally, I spent all my money, comma, therefore, comma, I had to walk back home. Here again, this is the connecting adverb, and instead of contrasting is like saying the cause and the consequence of two sentences. What happens when we have several adverbs in one sentence? Just as with adjectives, when we have several adverbs, there is a special way to collocate them in order to make them understood for everybody. If we have more than one adverb or adverbial in a sentence, then we have to order them in a specific way. This way is the next: manner, first of all, place, and time. We are referring to adverb of manner, adverb of place, and adverb of time. Just as in the next example, I didn't eat slowly. Slowly is our first adverb of manner. At my house is my adverb of place. And finally, in the morning, my adverb of time. The next is a question. Did you wait impatiently? Sorry. That is my adverb of manner. And then at your home is my adverb of place. It can be also considered as a sentence adverb because it's a whole clause. Last night, my adverb of time. And then David sleeps happily, my adverb of manner. Outside, my adverb of place. And finally, every day, that is my adverb of time. However, if we have a verb of movement in our sentence, like run, like jump, like travel, like go, any other similar, the order will change, and that order will be the next. Place, an adverb of place is the first thing that we have to set. Then we have to place the adverb of manner, and finally our adverb of time. An example: I crawled into my room. First of all, into my room is my adverb of place. Silently, my adverb of manner, and last night, my adverb of time. The next, they will run outside quickly tomorrow. Outside is my adverb of place. Then we have quickly as my adverb of manner, and finally tomorrow as my adverb of time. David has traveled to England as my adverb of place, by train as my adverb of manner, and finally each year. Okay. What are the functions of adverbs? Adverbs can modify a huge amount of other parts of a speech. In fact, I think that adverbs are the words that can modify the huge part of number of parts of a speech, and even more complex grammar structures. For example, we have adverbs that modify nouns that, according to my research, are not very common. I found a little difficult to find some of them. These adverbs can modify simple nouns or even noun phrases. For example, I ate only pizza. Here, this is only is the adverb, and it's modifying the noun pizza. It's referring that we ate only one thing of a different variety of nouns or dishes in this case. Then we will need quite a lot of sugar for this dessert. In this case, our adverb is quite, and it's referring to this whole close a lot of sugar as a noun phrase. This is a noun phrase. This is not a single noun. This is a noun phrase. Nearly is my second adverb, my third adverb, sorry. All of my toys, again we have a noun phrase that is being modified, were sold. And finally, almost, that is my adverb, every single person is the noun phrase that is being modified, has bought an iPhone. Adverbs that modify verbs. Perhaps the most common function. Most of us as teachers usually refer to adverbs like words that modify verbs. Therefore, adverbs that modify verbs are the most common function of adverbs. Perhaps the most common function, adverbs that modify verbs tell us how, when, why, or where an action is being performed. Some examples of these are: Marcos sat quietly and waited for me. This is the adverb that is modifying this verb, sat, that is sit in past. My parents are always telling me what to do. This is the adverb, a frequency adverb that is referring to this member, telling. It's a frequency. My parents tell me what to do. Then I played with my video games yesterday. This is a time adverb and is referring to the verb played. All the coins fell downstairs. This is a place adverb and is referring to this main verb, fell. Then we have adverbs that modify adjectives. Some adverbs can modify adjectives. When this happens, it is usual that they refer to a degree of a quality. In this case, more than a place or more than a manner, we are referring to the degree the adjective in the sentence is expressed by us. For example, the band is quite noisy. Quite is the adjective and is referring to the degree of noisiness the band may have. The teacher gave a very interesting class. Again, very it's the adverb and it's referring to the degree of interest or the degree of engagement the class may have. I consider her rather boring. Again, rather as an adverb referring to the adjective boring. And my trip will be really awesome. Awesome is our adjective, and the adverb that is modifying it is really. Then we have adverbs that modify other adverbs. Just as with adverbs that modify adjectives, adverbs modifying adverbs usually refer to a certain degree of a quality instead of talking about a place or a manner or a time. In addition, sometimes they make reference to an opinion made by the speaker or the writer. For example, the play was incredibly slowly. In this case, is kind of an opinion that the speaker is making about the play. I am almost always late for my job. In this case, is a degree is referring that just for a little difference, it's not always. Maybe this person is late for his job, I don't know, 5 days a week. My boss checked my work very carefully. Here the adverb very is referring to the other adverb carefully to show a kind of degree. The boss usually checks the work. And finally, Usain Bolt runs extremely quickly. We all know that Usain Bolt is very, very quickly, but maybe the speaker thinks that is extremely or even extraordinary quickly. And finally, we have adverbs that modify whole sentences. When an adverb is modifying a whole sentence, phrase, or clause, it usually refers to an opinion of that who is speaking or writing. So far, maybe you have noticed that most of the adverbs that modify whole sentences and adjectives and adverbs refer to opinions that the speaker may have. The policemen were obviously looking for the criminal. In this case, obviously refers to an opinion the speaker may have. Maybe the attitude of the policeman make the pursuit of this criminal quite obvious to the person who is writing or who's speaking. Personally, I don't think we should drink. Again, we are talking about an adverb that refers to an opinion the speaker may have. Clearly, she didn't know what she was talking about. An opinion again, and an adverb that is referring to all this sentence. In the previous one, we were referring to all this sentence. And finally, I don't think she will be able to walk again, honestly. Maybe this is something that a doctor is saying to the relatives of the woman we are talking about. And here is the opinion, here is the adverb that it's referring to all this sentence. Okay? So, this was my presentation about adverbs. I hope it is useful to you all. And thanks for watching. Here are my references. So have good luck and see you in another activity. Goodbye.